made very clear that we would have deep concerns about PRC intelligence or military activities in Cuba. This is something we're going to be monitoring very, very closely, and we've been very clear about that. And we will protect our homeland. We will protect our interests.
Yes, they'll keep monitoring it. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken yesterday reacting to reports that China is setting up now a military training facility in Cuba, which could lead to Chinese troops stationed just 100 miles off of the coast of Florida. Meanwhile, China is blasting President Biden for calling Xi Jinping a dictator during a California fundraiser last night. A spokesperson claims that Biden's comments are, quote, blatant political provocation. That's what the CCP says. Joining us now is Iowa Senator and member of the Senate Armed Services and Agricultural Committees, Joni Ernst. She's also the ranking member of the Senate Small Business Committee. Senator, good to see you. Thanks very much for being here.
Yes, thank you, Maria. Wow, these are great topics, aren't they?
Are we not supposed to say that Xi Jinping is a dictator?
Well, it's funny how we had Secretary Blinken actually in Beijing really bowing down to the Chinese and making us look very weak on the world stage. But we have President Biden behind closed doors talking about President Xi as a dictator. What is it? Are we friends with the nation or are we adversaries? It's hard to tell with this administration. But again, they continue to make us look very weak on the world stage.
Well, I mean, this administration is probably trying to bring some balance here because the president refuses to call China an adversary. Senator, you just said it, but every time Biden talks about China, he talks about the competition, the economic competition. No mention of the fact that they're undermining the U.S. left and right. They also now, Blinken and Biden, both said that they want to move on from the spy balloon. We don't know exactly what the spy balloon delivered back to Beijing in terms of information as it hovered over our military installations, do we?
No, we don't. And this is an incredible point that we need to focus on is in this administration, we continue to see appeasement after appeasement when it comes to the Communist Party of China. We had the spy balloon incident. We had the Wuhan virus, COVID-19. We see them building a spy base just 100 miles from our country. And yet this administration refuses to push the Chinese on their nefarious deeds. Now, in the Armed Services Committee, we will call China our #1 pacing threat. We don't call it competition. They are an adversary. They are our pacing threat.
Well, it's even beyond that. I mean, the other day, Joe Biden actually told a reporter that he doesn't think Xi Jinping even knew about the spy balloon. I mean, does he think we are so dumb to not think that the head of the Communist Party that listens to everything and notices everything and puts in speeches that people are going to get their heads busted to dust if they get in his way of Taiwan, that he didn't know about the Chinese balloon? Here's Joe Biden giving the Chinese leadership a free pass on that balloon incident. Watch this.
But I don't think the leadership knew where it was and knew what was in it and knew what was going on. I think it was more embarrassing than it was intentional.
So with Beijing, the balloon incident is over. It's water under the bridge.
We did what we needed to do to protect our interests. We said what we needed to say and made clear what we needed to make clear in terms of this not happening again. And so as long as it doesn't, that chapter should be closed.
Chapter should be closed. Oh, Senator, I'm sure the Chinese are shaking in their boots.
Yeah, absolutely, Maria. You've got to be kidding me. Americans, wake up. Again, China is our #1 pacing threat. How many more balloons are out traversing the globe right now? We don't know that. This is not a closed chapter. We still don't know what information was gathered by the Chinese. And again, they're going to continue with any nefarious deeds when there is no pushback from this administration.
Yeah,
period.
I mean, what can you do about it at this point? I mean, you're an elected official. We are staring down our #1 adversary here. You and your colleague, Senator Debbie Stabenow, taking action to stop China from purchasing U.S. farmland. I know that near military installations. We're seeing governors also get on this as well. What are they trying to do by buying all this farmland near military installations? What are they doing?
Well, you can figure this one out. I think every American can figure this out. If the Chinese are purchasing land around military installations, again, it's for nefarious purposes. If they are purchasing farmland across the United States, it could be because food security is national security. And if they're controlling those food sources, whether it's to feed their own population or whether it's to take away food production here in the United States from our own citizens, we need to make sure that we are in control of this situation.
Yeah.
We know that foreign investment is over 37 million acres here in the United States, and it's something that we need to keep an eye on, which is why I'm glad that Debbie Stabenow is partnering with me on this effort.
Yeah, the problem is, Todd Pyro, jump in here. The Chinese are inside the gates of America in so many areas, not just farmland. They've gotten into Hollywood, into academia, and obviously Wall Street.
And that is a concern in a lot of those areas you mentioned are controlled by Democrats. And Senator, while I appreciate that this is bipartisan with your colleague Debbie Stabenow, are enough Democrats in Democrat-leaning areas, Democrat states, your blue states, doing enough to keep the Chinese out of their states? Or is this only in the heartland in areas that are controlled by Republicans?
Well, that's a great question, and one that we need to continue to press on, because we need the Democrats standing up and saying that China is our adversary. This is a threat to our national security. And so I think that we will have great bipartisan support in the Ag Committee when we move forward on this farmland bill, making sure that we are providing oversight for foreign investment here in the United States of our valuable ag land. But as we go into the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, this week doing our Senate bill markup, we need those Democrats to be very loud about the presence of China, not just around the globe, but as you said, here in our own great United States of America. President Biden, are they a threat? Are they just competition? That will depend on how we move forward in this NDAA mark. If we truly do need to strengthen our nation's defenses against the Chinese, then we need to put our money where our mouth is and make sure that we have a strong military.
Yeah. Senator, real quick, how would you characterize Joe Biden's approach to China, his response to China?
One word: appeasement.
Appeasement.
Let me give you a second word: weak.
Yeah, weak. We're wondering if a third word is compromised.
Yeah, that actually could be. Let's dig a little deeper, and I think time will tell.
Yeah.
If there's nothing to see here, then provide us the documents.
Senator, thank you. Joni Ernst joining us this morning in D.C.